First question. Did you make up your bed today? I've pretty much gone with the flow for the majority of my life, and I know I don't look like I'm in my 40s, right? But for 40 plus years, I've gone with the flow. And this stops now.
Televisión.
Who could tell it like me?
This is my life, my show.
I can say what's on my mind.
Only I can tell it. This is my life, my show.
My views, my truth.
Only I can tell it for me. My life, my show.
I can say what's on my mind.
Only I can tell it. This is my life, my show.
My views, my truth.
Only I can tell it for me.
My show.
Yeah, my show. Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy Pat, and I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to my show. That's right, my views, my truth, my opinion. If you don't like it, y'all know what y'all could do. Go
that way.
Man, listen, I on a roll, right? 3 weeks in a row. Three weeks in a row. Talk about being intentional and consistent. That's what I'm talking about. But on a real, I'm actually proud of myself. But I ain't gonna lie though, while this stuff is really fun, it's taxing. What do I mean? Many look at content creation as just pure fun. But as with anything, there are pros and cons and a lot of challenges. Here it is Thursday and I'm just recording. I was supposed to record from yesterday because I have it set where I'm supposed to record on Wednesdays. But I had a crazy hectic day, and then there were other challenges with my cameras and the whole shebang. But the show goes on. Here I am tonight, showing up, showing out. Yeah, here goes the show. Now let me ask y'all a question. How many of y'all ever bought a computer out of the box? It's set up to the default setting and you get the bare essentials needed for it to function. But in order for you to get the full potential out of that computer, some settings need to be adjusted for it to perform at optimum level. Some time has to be invested in figuring out the ins and outs of the settings to really get your money's worth. And sometimes too, you have to buy a few programs and peripherals to assist with your workflow. That's kind of like how we are as human beings. When we were born, we come set on default, stuck on stupid. It's human nature to want to just be lazy and just kind of coast until we catch sense and realize there's more to life than go with the flow. Sadly, it took me all of 44 years to realize that go with the flow is a...
No!
Life doesn't just happen to us, you know. We got to make it happen. So how do we do that? We got to plan it. Now, if you go with the flow, you basically let things happen or let other people tell you what to do rather than trying to control what happens yourself. There's nothing I can do about the problem, so you know what? I might as well just go with the flow. When I look back on my life and what I've accomplished thus far, I must say I did pretty well. Though I'm not where I want to be, but there's another mantra that I have applied to my life within the past year. I am exactly where I am supposed to be. I did the bare minimum to just get by. And whilst I know I can't change the past, I sometimes wonder if I had truly planned my life, where would I be right now? I quoted Les Brown in my last episode when he said, "It's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have one than to have an opportunity and not be prepared." Yeah, I know, I worded it differently, but y'all know what I'm saying. There are many opportunities that I missed throughout my lifetime because I just thought, what's the point of it all? I didn't feel like putting in the work to really get ahead. I didn't prepare myself. I thought what I was doing was just enough to pay the bills, just enough to go out every now and again and have a good time, just enough to just live. But as time passed and as I got older and started realizing that I have more time behind me than in front of me, I started to get a bit worried and question myself. There are so many things that I still want to do, so many places that I still want to go, so many things that I still want to accomplish. And one of the thoughts that plagued my mind is, "Boy, Pat, the item getting old, king." But I had to snap out of that mindset quickly. Believe it or not, I actually Googled some time back, old people that found success after 40. But your mind is a serious thing, Dread. You would think that your mind's supposed to be on your side, right? Nah, bruh. Your mind untrained is your biggest enemy. That dude is have you contemplating life and if you should carry on with it. All right, so you got people like Colonel Saunders, you know, the dude from KFC, Betty White, the Golden Girl, the dude from McDonald's, the dude from Wally World, also known as Walmart. Who else? We got Giorgio Armani, your boy who made the Campbell soup, that boy from The Office who said,
No! No! No!
Simon Cowell, Samuel Jackson, and of course you got Stan Lee. Like Stan Lee is one of the most amazing comic book creators ever. If you're a fan of the Marvel Universe, then you know who Stan Lee is. Like Stan Lee, he got his career started after 40. He got his success after 40. And you know, I'm quite sure that there are those silent successes that we may never ever hear about. The fact remains, as long as the blood flowing through your veins and you breathing, you could be a success. But you got to plan it. You have to plan. A lot of my revelation came within the last 4 years. When I hit 40, must see midlife crisis. I had already gone through a divorce, lost the house, well, lost everything. Business was in shambles. I had to start over from zero at the age of 36. When I tell people that my first time actually living by myself was at the age of 37, they don't believe me. I went from my childhood home to my in-laws' home, then into our own home. I pretty much always had been in people's space and had people to help me. But during my marriage, my then wife basically carried a lot of the weight, meaning she was the traditional wife with a 9 to 5. I did what I could, but in hindsight, I know I didn't do enough. After separation and divorce, once I had kind of regained my footing, I was able to get an apartment. And when I did that, when I tell you I was lost, I was clueless. Here I was, 37 years old, never lived by myself, completely, totally clueless. I had to cook for myself, clean for myself, wash my clothes, and do everything that my wife assisted me with by myself. Mind you now, I know how to do all these things, but it's just that I had a wife. And she took on a lot of those roles. Things as simple as booking a doctor's appointment. I was completely lost. But Pat, what that got to do with planning though? A lot. Leaders don't go with the flow. Leaders plan. I was living my life in default mode and allowing my wife to more or less be the pilot. And this is why men, when their marriages fail, are completely wrecked and clueless.
Well, which way did it go, George? Which way did it go?
Because they take a backseat in the marriage. But I digress. Because of my lack of planning and leadership, I started to lose focus and started to look at other people in my age bracket who are actually far ahead of me in what they accomplished. That saying, comparison is the thief of joy, bruh. I was stuck and I didn't know what to do. So my self-sabotage resulted in divorce. Now, take a look at water, for instance. Look at it. Check the flow. Look at the power, the majesty, the majesticness. Is that even a word? Majesticness? Without a reservoir, pipes, constrictions to direct the flow, faucets, pressure pumps, and switches, it's all over the place. Just flowing.
Just flowing. Just flowing. Just flowing. Just flowing. Just flowing.
But when you start to introduce these different components, the water now has purpose. It has a direction. It even has more power. How many different systems do you think exist for water? What I mean by that is, water is life, a huge energy source that can be used for many things on this planet. Electricity, growing our food, drinking, and the list goes on and on. But over the centuries, things were invented to harness the power of water. Shoot, if you really think about it, humans are 70% water. That's must see why we like to go with the flow so much, eh? Now, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And let me say that I, Patrick Terrence Robinson, the second, I failed a lot. If you're interested in an episode on how to fail, drop it in the comment section below. But I highly doubt any of us need a lesson on how to be failures. We've all been there at some point. But as I have started to really be intentional about planning, I've started to realize that I'm less anxious about things. When you start to put pen to paper and itemize your life, the way forward becomes evidently clear. You become a bit more confident in what it is you want and need. Creating that pipeline for your life and actually planning puts you back in the driver's seat, and you get to your destination a lot quicker. I'm still practicing and building this habit of planning though. So then, what are you gonna do to harness your full power and potential? Alright, so let me give you all a couple guidelines on what you could do, right? So first, you gotta visualize your ideal future. You gotta ask yourself, what does success look like for me? What is it that I really want? Number two, you gotta break it down. You gotta break down them small. You gotta break it down into small steps. Make it smaller. Make it more manageable. You want to do everything in small steps. Small steps. Small little step. Because when we look at the big picture, it can get very overwhelming because now you're like, okay, how do I do this? This seems so unachievable. So how am I gonna do this? And that takes me to my next step. Homeboy, I done tell y'all last week, you gotta write it down. Write it down. Write it down. You gotta put pen to paper. I done show y'all in the last episode what studies say about writing stuff out. And when you write your plans down, you're more likely to execute them. And the last step, stay flexible. You have to stay flexible. Flexible. I little tie tongue, so certain words just twist me up, you see. You gotta stay flexible. Plans are your guide. They're not a cage. Be ready to adapt while staying focused on the goal. A friend of mine always says, you can change the plan but never change the goal. Make adjustments as needed. Now, with all that said, this marks week 3 of my show. And when I started, I was ambitious in saying that I wanted to drop a show every week. But now as I go about my daily life and I've now implemented this new venture into my life, I see now that this is going to be an extreme challenge when it comes to planning episodes, recording, and editing. This will lead to burnout very quickly. And before y'all think I done calling it quits, no, I'm not. I've invested far too much into this now to just say, me done. Me not finished yet. I'm adjusting my plan to accommodate my current life structure, creating a balance, so to speak. See? That's staying flexible. So as I plan my last episode for January, I should have a more clear-cut path as to how I will approach it moving forward. But I know now that one a week, that's not gonna be possible. So now that we've established this year 2025, going with the flow is what? A definite no. We have acknowledged that we are going to be intentional in our planning, and we're going to start writing things down and break those huge goals into smaller, achievable steps, and that your plans are living and breathing and can be changed and restructured at any time as your life adjusts. What have you been wanting to do for some time now? Have you wanted to go on a nice trip? I know I have. Well, take that first step and start planning it. Sometimes those long-term goals seem so unreachable. But if you research the cost, write things out, and see everything in the front of you, then you can see if you can realistically take that trip this year or maybe next year. Listen, if I could go back and talk to my younger self, I'd tell him to start planning much sooner. But the good news is it's never too late. Whether you're 24, 44, or 74, you can take control of your life by simply starting to plan today. Not like homegirl say, not today. No, today. Start planning today. My journey over the past year, despite all the setbacks, proves that when you plan, you empower yourself to live life on your terms. Remember, failure to plan is planning to fail. So let's commit to success. One plan at a time. Remember, small plans can lead to tremendous changes. Anyway, y'all, thank y'all once again for tuning in, and make sure to check me out next week. Same place, same time. You dig?
This is my life, my show.
My show.
Yeah, my show. Yeah.